Hello, all, and welcome back to a new episode of Movies and Us, a weekly gathering place filled with conversations about movies, stories, and connection. My name is Jennifer Hahn.
And I'm Sarah Callan.
And today we are going to be reviewing the short film Two People Exchanging Saliva. Sarah, do you want to kick us off with a summary for this film?
Sure. In a society where kissing is punishable by death and people pay for things by receiving slaps to the face, Angine, an unhappy woman, shops compulsively in a department store. There, she becomes fascinated by a playful salesgirl. Despite the prohibition of kissing, the two become close, raising the suspicions of a jealous colleague.
All right. So, Two People Exchanging Saliva is a short film that we both got to watch recently. It is written and directed by Natalie Mustaята and Alexander Singh. They are a duo that have brought this to life, and my gosh, there's so much here. There's so much to talk about. This is a film that is on the Oscar shortlist this year so far for Best Live Action Short. And we're excited to see as this film continues to journey on forward in the process, but it is getting a lot of critical acclaim, a lot of attention, and a lot of excitement about just the fresh, creative story that's been told here. Gosh, there's so much to talk about. Before we dive in, though, let's do our one-sentence summaries for Two People Exchanging Saliva. Sarah, what is yours?
Mine is, if you're going to rebel, do it while smelling minty fresh.
Minty fresh. Yeah, get your goods from the dealer,
Hey, you got to do what you got to do. You can't
Sneak
be out here smelling
around.
funky.
But maybe wear less loud shoes in the bathroom,
Just an idea,
less,
you know. Or search the bathroom a little more thoroughly.
Right, every stall.
Yes.
My one sentence summary is an epic love story that hits home.
Wow. Yes. Yes, it does.
Okay, well, let's dive in. This is an incredible short film. It is about desire, longing, and affection in a society that is so absent and devoid of it. I think dystopia films and premises are always so fascinating, and the world that Natalie and Alexander have created is truly so interesting and so full in how much we feel like we've inhabited this world. So we follow two characters that go on a whole journey together. Sarah, I'm curious, how did Two People Exchanging Saliva land for you, and what are some of the things that really stood out to you about this short film?
Yeah, this short film is wild.
Mm-hmm.
I think, we get so many dystopian films these days, shows, like there's just constantly dystopian content out there. And this feels truly unique. I think it is shot in black and white. It is absolutely gorgeous, and it's just beautiful to look at. The production design is stunning. Even the costume design is really interesting. So just the visuals in this world are so beautiful and not really what I feel like you would expect from a film set in this kind of dystopian landscape. And then even more than that, the world is so interesting, and the way that the film feeds you information about the world little by little, I think is really, really smart. And it'll show you things before you have context for what that means, and the meaning comes later. And I love the way that this film is structured, and how you learn enough about the world to go on this journey, but it also leaves you with so many questions about, how did we get here? Why is this society set up this way? Like, what are we doing? You don't know. And I think that that's really beautiful and smart in the restraint that this film shows.
Yeah, it feels like this world unfolds before you slowly. And I, especially in the first watch, found that I was impatient and desperate to know more. I'm like, well, what does that mean? Like, what do you mean you're not going to explain it all to me all at once? No, there's a patience that the film demands of you to follow it into this world slowly, step by step, bit by bit. Gosh, I'm a huge fan of this short film. It rocked my world. There's there's like these pieces that I watch that I feel like really open my mind up and expand the horizons and possibilities of what this medium that we love so much around film is able to do and the type of stories it's able to bring to life. And Two People Exchanging Saliva falls into that very rare bucket for me. I think the thing that I really appreciated so much about this film is how much is communicated without saying a lot. A lot of the voiceover, a lot of the details it's sharing with you carry so much emotional weight. The amount of items that she's buying communicates so much around her increasing interest and being caught up in and being drawn into this relationship with the saleswoman. There's so much like that this film does that I think really allows me as an audience member to really lean in and not just be told what's happening. And then ironically, actually, the satisfaction of earning that emotional weight by the end of the film was truly so satisfying. So I think that's the thing that stands out to me, particularly about what is unique about this film, is how much is unspoken and yet implied so clearly as well. And I loved that experience. There's a lot that we'll talk about as well with the themes and whatnot, but I think that's what really sets this film apart from so many others for me.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It communicates so much without having to like over explain anything. And the
Yeah.
film really, really trusts us as the audience to fill in those gaps and like kind of we're picking up what the film is putting down. And
Yeah.
it's so clear and it's so heartfelt, and the actors in this are doing an amazing job just communicating with their facial expressions, with their bodily expression. Like there's so much physically that's communicated in this film that
Mm.
we don't need all of the words, and we can piece things together.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it works on a meta layer as well because the narration, the voiceover that is kind of telling the story of this film almost feels like it's inhabiting the rules of the world that they're living in, which is we cannot speak of these things. So, what I can tell you is she bought 51 slaps worthy amount of items instead of the previous 32, and you know what I'm saying, but I cannot say it because once again, that oppression and repression of desire and intimacy is so much a part of the world that is these two characters are inhabiting. And so it's almost as if the film is leading you into what it's trying to say, but it's almost following its own rules at the same time. And that inability for the film to tell you outright is also part of the magic of what we feel like the characters must be feeling as well, which is she came and she's refreshing her entire wardrobe. Like, what could that mean? What does that mean?
Yeah, and I love the use of the narrator in this film. I think
Yeah.
a lot of times I will get frustrated with a narrator because a lot of times it's too heavy-handed for me, but this film does it exactly right. And there's just enough of the narration to kind of like bring us up to speed on where the characters are and what's going on, but it's not too overpowering. And I feel like the narration comes in at just the right moments to like, okay, now we're going to move on to this other thing. Oh, here we're on a different day. Okay, here let me get you up to speed. And I think that restraint in the narration also helps make it not feel overbearing, and it never feels out of place for me. It always comes at the
Hmm.
right time with the right information that I need to continue on this journey with these characters.
Yeah, yeah, and allows us to understand better of like what is happening within this world that we are desperately trying to understand. One of the other, I think, interesting parts of the world that's been created in this dystopian environment that our characters are inhabiting is the the rules of how society is run, where payments are done through slaps and intimacy, kissing is forbidden. And I think that offers this really interesting lens for us to view as we enter out, leave out of this film to look at like what are the rules and the systems that exist in our lived in world that also don't seem to make sense, that are our also as outrageous as a simple kiss being forbidden, and this system of casual violence that is so normalized to the point where it is our payment system, our form of commerce. I think that like bird's eye view lens with which we can see obviously very clearly in this dystopian world, like that is very clearly wild and wrong, and imagine a world that that's possible in. But it allows us to then almost come with fresher eyes back into our lived in society and look at, gosh, historically, the policies that have put in place that have forbidden same sex marriage or same sex love, that have forbidden protest and artistic expression in certain parts of the world, that have been received with huge sentences. Like I think it gives us almost new eyes to then go back to our real world that we're living in and re-examine, and I think that invitation is really fascinating, that this film primes us for to almost see differently when we go back into our society and the news and the systems and policies in place within our own lived in societies.
And I think that that's, in the film too, not to like spoil anything, but a character
Mm,
finds these postcards with art on it, these
yeah.
classical art pieces, and then that kind of awakens something in her and makes
Mm,
her see things in a new lens, or begin to kind of follow these thought trains that maybe she hadn't allowed herself to follow before.
mm,
And I think that is what art does. Art can expand our horizons and help us see the world differently. And film, art, whatever it is, like we can experience these other worlds, these other ways of doing life, and
mm.
then we bring that with us back into our context and our life and can do things differently. So I love that, we see that in the film, but I feel like the film itself is also an invitation for us to also see things differently.
Yeah, yeah. In some ways, we as the audience members are Angine, and this film is the photographs that we're seeing. And we go back and we're like, why is it this way though? Like, these are the things that I desire. These are the things I long for. Why have we decided that those are not okay? I think it's also fascinating to see the three women and how different they are from each other. In my first watch, I was much more focused on obviously this love story that is unfolding, but on successive watches, gosh, Petulance is a vital character in this world, and she also represents a type of deference to the established order that ultimately I think she knows what is and isn't right, and what her desires are as well, that cannot be acted on. There's jealousy, there's affection that she's trying to seek a mutual bidirectional relationship with one of the women, but ultimately she chooses to use the oppressive forces for her vengeance plot, whatever you want to call it. And I think that each of these three women represent such different ways of reacting to an oppressive society. One has found some source of comfort but is ultimately dissatisfied. One is entirely uh, willing to go against the established order because the desire is so great and it cannot be contained. And the other is upholding the established order. And we get to see how all of their journeys unfold with their different states and their different ways of reacting, which I think is really fascinating to see that spectrum of these three women.
Yeah, I think what really caught my eye upon rewatch is the way that Petulant, the other saleswoman, is. I read her motivations the second time around as like greed and wanting to like feed into the capitalist system basically, because
Mm-hmm.
she's most concerned about her sales, and
Yeah.
she lost this whale at the store essentially, and she wants that back. She needs that money back. She needs
Mm.
that status too that comes from you know being a top saleswoman or whatever. And so I think that that's another really interesting piece of it, the commerce side of, repression and what that looks like. And so it's not a big thing. The film does not make a big deal out of it, but I think especially that last scene that we see her in, I was like, oh, this is not just jealousy. This is something more. This is about
Yeah.
getting your sales back and getting your sales numbers back up more than anything else. And I think that that is a really smart and intentional piece to this whole film that's inviting us to relook at how we do things.
Yeah, absolutely. And the like transactional nature of the capitalist system, there's something that happens and she's offering a discount as a means to account for a huge emotional loss, and it's like it don't work that way, like no amount of discount can fill the void that you are responsible for setting into motion. So I think that's also fascinating to see the way that like the capitalist mindset trains us to view, even potentially sometimes bleeds into our human relationships and viewing them as transactional dynamics instead of what we see contrasted, which is this beautiful love story that is unfolding. And no matter, we don't want to spoil how it ends, but I think it's fascinating to see the way that despite the rules of the system, like desire, love, affection will triumph in whatever form it will look like, and it cannot be repressed, though society will try a million times over to try and separate two people that desire to be together. Like I think there's something that is mixed in to this ending that I think is it's more complicated than just a simple one-toned ending, which I really really loved as well.
Yeah, and I feel like that's indicative of the entire film. There's so much complexity to it. There's all of these layers to it, and I feel like you can dig pretty deep into this film and find a lot. Like there's so much richness within this film, and so there's just a lot to savor, especially if you're able to watch it multiple times. You're able
Mm.
to like go deeper into these themes and like spot things that you didn't get the first time. And I think that's always really special, is when a film rewards additional viewings, and this is definitely one of those.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's also just stunning. By the way, did we mention that already? We probably did, but like the cinematography is a feast for the eyes. Like it is incredible. It's beautiful on the surface because it is stunning. Everything is like so artistically framed, but there's also so many interesting cinematography choices that I wanted to give a shout out to. The use of mirrors throughout the entire film is fascinating, especially in a world where there's so much that is about like being observed and having to like watch what you're doing and being watched, and there's the danger of being caught. Like the use of mirrors, especially in these moments where like it feels like we as the audience are not supposed to be observing a moment that's happening, but somehow, thank goodness, the camera is perfectly positioned for us as a viewer to peek in and spy a little bit on what's happening. And it's not just one moment, but throughout, the use of mirrors is a really interesting motif. So there's a lot of fascinating metaphorical cinematography choices that are being made here that are also equally as exciting as just the visual feast before you.
I also love how modern everything is.
Mm.
It's a lot of like straight, clean lines. Like everything is very, very modern, very minimalistic. And then, kind of separating the three chapters of the film, you see these art pieces that are this classical art, and
Mm.
it looks so different than what the rest of the film looks like and what this society looks like. And so you can feel that we are somewhere else, and these ideas that we are exploring in each chapter are just out of place in this world. And so I love that contrast that we see, that everything in this world is like straight lines, cubes, boxes, like everything is clean and neat. And then when we see these little art pieces come in, it's it's something totally different, and it catches your eye in a different way because we have been in this very minimalist, very straight edge kind of world for so long.
Yeah, and the way that like that art is still shaping the people and the desires and the events of the society that looks so different is thrilling and exciting, and that is the power of art. Exclamation point, thesis done. Period. One last little shout out that I wanted to give is for the score. The score does so much to add to the atmosphere of this film. It is so unsettling and so unnerving for most of the film because it just feels like violence and danger are looming just beneath the surface at any given moment. And the score adds so much to creating that sense of unease, but also in the moments of this unspoken, subtle tenderness and intimacy between characters. It also adds this burst of warmth that honestly, as a viewer, we are so craving after having seen long stretches of just this nervous, anxious uneasiness of paranoia that exists in this world. Just a moment of real human connection, and gosh, that score is singing. So the score adds so much to emotional beats of this film, and I wanted to give a shout out for it. That those violin pizzicatos will haunt me in my dreams.
Yes, the score is absolutely phenomenal, and I was really struck by the piano at the end. There's a very
Oh yeah.
pivotal moment towards the end of the film, and the piano just comes in so strong, and it perfectly matches what is happening in the scene, and you feel all of the anxiety and just all of the tension in that moment, and I feel like the score just complements that. So yeah, absolutely brilliant addition that just highlights everything that you are seeing on the screen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Gosh, there's so much to love in Two People Exchanging Saliva. It is an incredibly artistic and layered piece of cinema. And we are so excited for y'all to hear our interview coming out here in the next 24 hours in the day with Natalie and Alexander to hear more about their inspiration, their desire to tell this story, and all of the different themes and aspects and threads that they've brought in so much to fruition in Two People Exchanging Saliva. So we can't wait for you to hear that next. Gosh, we can't. This is actually available to be seen as well right now, which is really exciting for us when we get to like gush about a short film. We can actually say, now go find it on YouTube. The New Yorker screening room, has it available. So go watch it. A lot of times when you review short films, we're like, we can't wait for you to watch it soon when it gets the distribution deals, but you can go watch this now. It's 36 minutes and it sucks you into this world and it flies by. So we can't wait for you all to go see this, and we can't wait for this interview coming up soon. So we'll see y'all back on the feed here very soon. Thank you for listening to today's episode of Movies and Us. We are part of the Movie Archer podcast network, so check out moviearcher.com to learn more.
Our name sums it up. We're all about movies and the powerful ways we can connect with each other and the world around us. This podcast is about all of us and our shared stories.
You can subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you tune to your favorite shows. Drop us a rating review letting us know your thoughts about today's episode.
Connect with us on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at Movies and Us Pod, or email us at moviesanduspod@gmail.com. Check out our website, andusmedia.co, for the latest on Movies and Us and our other podcast, TV and Us.
We hope you have an amazing week, and we can't wait to see y'all very soon.